Welcome into the Sporting News Studios, continuing our look at the top college basketball teams in the country heading into the season. I'm Tom Vandervoort with Mike DeCourcy. Mike, number 15, Memphis. And I guess we got to focus a little bit on Joe Jackson, this time the one with the shoes.
Yeah, Joe Jackson, electric point guard, the hardest player in America to keep out of the lane. He is so fast end to end, and I think that Josh Pastner wants to take great advantage of that speed on offense by pushing the basketball at every opportunity, and also on defense by having Joe act as sort of a one-man press. And in order for him to be able to do that, he had to get in great shape over the summer, spent a lot of time on his body and his game, and I think he's got a chance to have a great year.
Now, you sat down with him a little bit, got to know him a little bit. What can you tell us about what he's been through to get to this point? Because I know it hasn't been necessarily an easy road for him.
It has not been. I mean, it starts with the fact that up until he was about in 7th or 8th grade, he basically didn't have a permanent home, didn't live with his folks, wound up moving in with his grandmother, and that provided a great amount of stability to his life. And since then, he's been on an upward trajectory all the way up until he enrolled at Memphis. And then came the weight of expectation. He was a McDonald's All-American, a top 10, top 15 recruit, and that was expected to translate into instant stardom at Memphis. It was probably a bit unrealistic for a guy who was only 5'10", 165, 170 pounds to become an instant star. But he did win the Conference USA MVP of their tournament as a freshman, led Memphis to that championship and a resulting NCAA tournament bid. Came back and did the same thing last year. But in between those two things, really struggled with that pressure and nearly left the program last December, nearly decided to transfer. Good thing for him he didn't, because the truth is he probably would have finished his career.
Well, it's interesting when you just think about Memphis over the years. There's such a connection between the city and the team, and guys really from Memphis playing for the team and making big contributions. Can you just talk about, because it feels like in that situation the weight of expectations might be greater than at other places.
It is greater because when you talk about Memphis, the reason they have been so Memphis-centric with their recruiting is because they could be. I mean, when your city or your region produces Keith Lee, Penny Hardaway, you look at guys like Cedric Henderson and Chris Garner and Lorenzen Wright and on up until the current team, which has Adonis Thomas, Tarek Black, Chris Crawford, and Joe, all from the city. It's hard not to be. During John Calipari's years, they went away from that. Two reasons. One, he didn't want to be ruled by the local expectations. Two, it wasn't the best period for Memphis talent. When Josh Pastner came in, what are you going to do to improve upon 4 consecutive 30-win seasons? Well, you recruit the local guys and you sort of bring it back to that. It does create great expectations for those players, though, because they've seen you in high school averaging 30, 35 points a game. Why can't you do that in college?
Right.
Well, because in college, they guard you. Exactly.
Now, what are some of the challenges this Memphis team has to overcome to kind of get where we think they can get?
Well, I think, first of all, they have to get a level of consistency from that group, that core group that I talked about. They have to be more consistent players, more consistent teammates. I think they have to have a more cohesive energy. And Adonis Thomas has to become a first option on offense. Last year, he was a very good freshman when he was healthy, but that wasn't for very much time. They lose Will Barton. Now you have an opportunity for Adonis to step right into that position and that role, be the lead guy, the lead option on offense. Inside, they need to do better with their Tarek Black, with Farrakhan Hall, a returning senior transfer who did fine for them last spring. And then they add a new big man, Shaq Goodwin, who will give them a physical presence up front to go with Black, so you won't be able, as a defense, to just throw everything at Black.
And finally, back to Jackson. I mean, is what we're looking for just maturity, consistency, that kind of thing?
Exactly. Maturity from Joe Jackson, a guy who shows up every night and guards the other team's point guard by hassling him with his speed, a guy who makes good decisions. What he has to really do is he has to understand he can get the lane almost every possession. You get to that spot, you have to know what you're doing when you get there.
Right. And that, just getting there isn't enough.
Oh, because he can get there all the time, and that's a destructive force. But you have to know what you want to do based on how the defense plays you. Do you want to shoot a floater if they don't come up? Do you want to kick out if the defense comes in to cut you off? Do you want to dump it down to Black or someone like that? You have to know what each situation dictates, because he's going to get there a lot. He's not always made great decisions when he's gotten there, and I think that making those decisions, that will elevate him toward being a terrific point guard.
There you go. That's our look at the Memphis Tigers. For Mike DeCourcy, I'm Tom Vandervoort. Thanks for watching.